Hello, my lovely students. A very hearty welcome to this mind-blowing platform, Physics Wallah. My name is Nupur Sharma, and today we are going to do a question of trust. Now, as the title suggests, it is an interrogatory title. They are asking a question about trust, about belief. Now, who trusts whom? We are going to know in this chapter. See, today we are going to have an overview, then line by line explanation, and at the end we are going to discuss the important points of the chapter. Now, this chapter is, of thriller genre. Okay, it is of a thriller genre, and we all know that we love the thriller genre, and this chapter also we are going to love. But before that, we are going to have an overview. Now, let us look at this. A Question of Trust is written by Victor Canning. This story is about a thief who gets a taste of his own deeds. Now, this is about a thief who gets a taste of its own medicine. Now, there are two lines, there are two sayings that, when we get the taste of our own medicine, it seems to be quite bitter to us. For example, okay, if we talk very rudely to the other person, we don't feel it much. But if the other person also starts speaking rudely to us, he reciprocates also like this, so we feel very bad. When we get the taste of our own medicine, we don't feel good. And this happens with this thief also. When he used to steal the other person's belongings, he didn't feel bad. He thought that, okay, I'm doing this for something good. And what good we are going to study in the chapter. But when somebody stole from him, he felt very bad. So before that, there are a few points to focus. We are going to talk about two sayings. The first saying is, it is said that you must set a thief to catch a thief. Okay, you must have watched quite a lot movies in which they have to catch a thief. Now, they say that when you have to catch a thief, you must think like a thief. Okay, you must think like a thief. You cannot, for example, there are many movies, there are many Bollywood movies and Hollywood movies where they say that, okay, our thinking should be just like the thief. We should think that what can we do? We have to think like him only in order to catch him. Now, thieves are perfect for catching a thief because they have the same level of thinking. But the other saying is, but it is also said that there is honor among thieves. Yes, there is honor among thieves. It means one thief helps the other thieves. Okay, because they have an understanding between each other that, okay, I'm also a thief, you're also a thief, and I'm going to help you in every case. And which saying does this story illustrate? Now, both these sayings are quite opposite. In one, we are saying that thief helps the other thief. In first one, we are saying that you have to become a thief in order to catch a thief, or you must set a thief to catch a thief. It means that if you have to catch a thief, you should, choose that kind of a person only. But the other one is saying that help, the one thief helps the other one. So which saying is correct and which saying is appropriate to the title, that we are going to know in this chapter. Now, let's move further. Okay, everyone thought that Horace Danby was a good, honest citizen. Now, the story starts with a very, interesting character, and that interesting character is Horace Danby. Now, people around him think that he is very good and he is an honest citizen. Now, what does citizen mean? Citizen means inhabitant. Okay, inhabitant, maybe his neighbors or his relatives think that he is quite an honest person, he is very, nice person. He was about 50 years old and unmarried, and he lived with a housekeeper who worried over his health. In fact, he was usually very well and happy except for attacks of hay fever in summer. Now see, they are saying that he was about 50 years old and he was unmarried. He was a bachelor. He lived alone, and only he had a housekeeper. Okay, he had a housekeeper. He had a person who used to help him. A housekeeper is kind of a servant, who helps to manage your house. Now, he was very worried about his health. It means that his housekeeper was a very faithful servant, and he was always worried about his master's health. Now, in fact, he was usually very well. He used to be very well. He was quite healthy. In fact, except for hay fever. Yes, he had hay fever. What is hay fever? Now, hay fever is caused by pollen grains, or dust. Now, this hay fever is caused by pollen grains or dust, and when you have hay fever now, you have irritation in your eyes and in your nose, and you tend to sneeze a lot, and the symptoms are just like of a cold, of a normal flu, of a normal cold. Like in cold, we sneeze a lot, there is water coming out of our eyes and nose. So hay fever also looks like that, but cold is because of bad weather, but this is because of the pollen grains, the presence of pollen grains. For example, whenever the person is near the flowers or any field, and the pollen grains, go into his nose, and for example, commonly we say dust allergy. Yes, a lot of people have dust allergy. Whenever dust particles go in the nose, the person's eyes and nose, they start to water. Okay, they start to discharge water, and they start to sneeze a lot. So this kind of a fever he had, this kind of an ailment he had, and it was quite not a very big thing for him, but his servant was very worried for his health, because he was a 50-year-old person, and 50-year-old person generally has a lot of ailments, except he only had hay fever only. But okay, now let's move further. He made locks and was successful enough at his business to have 2 helpers. Yes, Horace Danby was good and respectable, but not completely honest. He made locks. He was kind of a locksmith. He used to, deal in making locks, and he was very successful. He was so much successful that he had 2 helpers. He had 2 people who used to help him in his business, in carrying out his business. It means it was successful. It was quite successful. Yes, he was good and he was respectable. He used to be respected. The society used to respect him because they didn't know the complete truth. He was not completely honest. 15 years ago, Horace had served his first and only sentence in a prison library. Now, this we have to focus. He had only been to jail once. He had only been to prison once in his life. It was his first and only sentence in the jail. He loved rare and expensive books. Now, they are, trying to give us a character sketch of Horace Danby, that what kind of a person he was. And we know that he was quite an honest person, but he was not completely honest. He had been to jail once, and he used to love rare and expensive books. Rare and expensive books, not only rare, but those which were very expensive. Expensive means costly. He used to love the costly books. He used to read them. He used to collect them. So he robbed a safe every year. Each year, he planned carefully just what he would do, stole enough to last for 12 months, and secretly bought the books he loved through an agent. Now, he robbed a safe everywhere. Every year, he used to rob a safe. What is a safe? A safe is an iron almirah. It is kind of a small iron almirah where people, keep their jewels and their money because it is more safe there. So he used to rob the safe once a year, and he planned it so carefully. He used to be very careful about it. It means that he was an expert thief. He was an expert thief, and he used to focus on all the details, and he was never caught. He was never caught. And he also used to steal enough that it lasted a year. Yes, his theft used to last a year because he collected so much money that it was enough. It was sufficient for a whole year, and with that money he used to buy books. Yes, he used to buy rare and expensive books. He used to love to read, and he loved to collect the books. So it was a good situation for him. He was satisfied with his life because he didn't burgle any house every day. He didn't, it was not a daily practice for him, but he used to do it only once a year. Now, walking in the bright July sunshine, he felt sure that this year's robbery was going to be as successful as all the others. Now, as I told you, that he had never failed in his life. He had only been to jail once and he was never caught. He was never caught. So he was also, now this time also, he was quite sure that yes, I am going to win. I am going to rob a house and I am going to be successful, and this robbery is going to be successful as the others, as he has already done a lot of thefts and he was successful in doing so. He was pretty sure that this time also I am going to not get caught. For 2 weeks, he had been studying the house of Shotover Grange, looking at its rooms, its electric wiring, its path, and its garden. As I told you, that he was very careful while robbing a house. He was he used to plan the robbery. He didn't think that okay, this house looks good and there is nobody at home, chalo, let's go in the house and let's pick up all the things. No, he didn't used to do that. He used to plan it. Yes, he used to plan his robbery, and that too with with quite a precision. He had been studying the house at a Shotover Grange. Shotover Grange, it's a place. Now he was looking at its rooms. He paid attention on all the rooms, on the electrical wiring, and even the paths and its garden. He studied everything. This afternoon, the 2 servants who remained in the Grange while the family was in London had gone to the movies. Now, the family had gone to London. The house was empty. There were only 2 servants in the house, and those servants were also going for movies. So the house was going to be alone, and this was quite an opportunity for Horace Danby, that okay, there is nobody is going to be there at the home, and I am going to plan my theft, and I am going to rob the safe. Now, Horace saw them go and he felt happy in spite of a little tickle of hay fever in his nose. Now everything was perfect. Everything was planned and he was all set to, rob the house. And, but he had, a tickle of hay fever. He had a tinge of, tickle in his nose because obviously he was suffering from hay fever. And maybe that was the season of hay fever. And hay fever is quite common when the fields are being harvested. When the crops are being harvested, in that case the hay fever rises up, and maybe it was that season and he had hay fever in his nose. He could feel it in his nose. He came out from behind the garden wall, his tools carefully packed in a bag on his back. Now he came back from the garden. He entered from the garden and he was all ready. He had all the tools on his back, all the tools that he needed to open the safe. Obviously, as I told you, that he had planned everything very carefully. So he even had all the tools which were required to open the safe. There were about 15,000 pounds worth of jewels in the Grange safe. Now, there were about 15,000 pounds. Yes, there were 15,000 pounds. He even knew that how much money is there in the safe. And jewels means jewelry, okay, jewelry, ornaments. So 15,000 worth ornaments were there in the safe, and he already knew that, and he had made up his mind that yes, I am going to steal all of them, and that are going to last for a year. He was pretty sure that he is going to, steal all the jewels in the Grange. Now, Grange, I forgot to tell you the meaning of Grange. Grange means a country farmhouse. A country farmhouse. Okay, basically they are talking about the houses, the farmhouses. There is a kind of house which are attached to the farm buildings, and they are usually in the countryside. So it was and their houses are usually very big, and rich people live in that. So as he had planned everything, now let's move further. If he sold them one by one, he expected to get at least 5,000, enough to make him happy for another year. Now see this thing. He is expecting to sell them one by one. He'll sell them one by one, because if he'll not sell them one by one, and he sells everything at the same time, he is going to get caught. So he was very careful that I am going to sell this one by one. Maybe he'll sell the jewelry in different jewelry stores, and that is going to be at least 5,000 rupees. He is going to 5,000 he is going to earn, and that would be enough to make him happy for another year. Happy for another year means that he is going to be satisfied with that amount of money, and he can buy a lot of books with that. There were 3 very interesting books coming up for sale in the autumn. Now he would get the money he wanted to buy them. Now he said he even had planned that how I am going to use the money. He had decided that I am going to use this money to buy the 3 interesting books that are coming in the autumn season. And he knew about all the books because he was buying all the books from an agent. There was an agent that he had had in contact with, who used to sell him very rare and very expensive and very interesting books. So he was quite happy that yes, I am going to now collect these 3 interesting books. He had seen the housekeeper hang the key to the kitchen door on a hook outside. He put on a pair of gloves, took the key and opened the door. He was always careful not to leave any fingerprints. As I told you that he had planned the robbery very well. He saw that the keys were hung in a hook, and he thought that yes, I'm going to pick up the key from there. He put on a pair of gloves. Yes, he used to wear gloves. Why do the thieves wear gloves? So that their fingerprints are not left in any corner, and they are not caught. So he always wear a pair of gloves, and he took the key and he opened the door. He was very careful. He was very careful not to leave any fingerprints on anything, so that he was never so that his robbery never failed and he's never caught by the police. A small dog was lying in the kitchen. It stirred, made a noise, and moved its tail in a friendly way. Now, there was a small dog. Okay, there was a small dog. He was lying in the kitchen. It stirred. It moved a little. Obviously, the dogs can sense everything. And when the dog sensed that there is a person coming, he moved a little. He made a noise and moved its tail in a friendly way. But he moved his tail in a friendly way. Now Horace Janbai was very careful that he should not look like a thief, okay, and he should be very friendly. So what he did? "All right, Sherry," Horace said as he passed. "All you had to do to keep dogs quiet was to call them by their right names and show them love." Now, he said, "All right, Sherry." He even knew the name of the owner's dog. Yes, he even knew the name of the dog, and that was Sherry. And he said, "Okay, hush, hush, Sherry." Okay, and he called his name, and he even showed love to him. He said that, this is the trick. He shared his trick that, okay, whenever you take the dog's name, the correct name of the dog, and you show them a lot of love, they are not going to attack on you. They are going to think that, yes, you are the friend. You are their friend. You're not the enemy. So everything was now set. The safe was in the drawing room behind a rather poor painting. Horace wondered for a moment whether he should collect pictures instead of books. Now, the safe was behind a poor painting. The painting was not very good. Now, Horace Janbai, he thought for a moment whether he should collect paintings. Now, as I told you that he used to love to, collect the books. So he thought that maybe I should collect the paintings also. That is also a good hobby. It was his hobby to collect the books. And he thought that I should also, start collecting paintings. But they took up too much room in a small house. Books were better. Now he had a small house, so he thought, okay, I cannot collect the paintings, so books are okay. Books are okay. I will keep on collecting the books. There was a great bowl of flowers on the table, and Horace felt his nose tickle. He gave a little sneeze and then put down his bag. He carefully arranged his tools. He had 4 hours before the servants returned. Now there was a great bowl of flowers. Yes, there were flowers. And flowers are the enemy of the people who are suffering from hay fever. Now, as soon as he saw that there are flowers, as soon as he felt the flowers, the pollen grains, they went into his nose, and he, felt a tickle, and he sneezed. You know what is sneezing? Sneezing means achoo, achoo. He, sneezed, and he put down his bag. He carefully arranged his tools, and he had 4 hours. He had 4 hours. He had planned everything. He had, arranged his tools, and he was all set to, rob the safe. And he thought that everything is okay, but he sneezed. He made a little bit of mistake that he sneezed. His nose tickled, and he felt a little sneeze. Now, the safe was not going to be hard to open. After all, he had lived with locks and safes all his life. The burglar alarm was poorly built. He went into the hall to cut its wire. Now, the safe was not going to be very, hard for him to open the safe, because he was a locksmith. Obviously, he was a locksmith, and he was very intelligent, that he, dealt in locks. He dealt in making locks, because so that the robbery is very easy for him. He dealt in safes and locks in all his life, so he was quite confident that yes, I'm going to open the safe very carefully. But the burglar alarm, they also had a burglar alarm, but it was poorly built. It was not of a very good quality, and it was not quite well arranged. So he went to the hall to cut his wire. He came back and sneezed loudly as the smell of the flowers came to him again. How foolish people are when they own valuable things, Horace thought. Now he came back and he sneezed again. Obviously, when he felt the flowers again, the flowers were causing a distraction. Okay, everything was perfect, but the flowers were of a distraction, and he started sneezing again. He sneezed loudly. He sneezed very loudly this time, and now he is referring the people of the house, the owner of the house, as foolish. He says that the people are very foolish when they own valuable things. He is basically calling the rich people foolish. Now, why is he doing so? Horace thought a magazine article had described this house, giving a plan of all the rooms and a picture of this room. The writer had even mentioned that the painting hid a safe. Now, obviously, he was calling them foolish because, he was very rich. And in a magazine, all his house, he had shown his house. Now, how did Horace come to know everything about his house? He knew that where the rooms were, where was the kitchen, where was the burglar alarm, and even where the safe was. He knew everything because everything was mentioned in a magazine. Yes, the owner himself invited the thieves. It was as if it was an invitation for the thieves that yes, come, steal everything from me, because everything had a layout. His layout, the complete layout of the house was there in a magazine, even that the painting hid a safe. But Horace found that the flowers were hindering him in his work. He buried his face in his handkerchief. Then he heard a voice say from the doorway, "What is it? A cold or hay fever?" Before he could think, Horace said hay fever and found himself sneezing again. And now, as I told you, that the flowers were hindering his work. The flowers were a hindrance. They were distracting him. He was not able to perform his duty well. Now, he buried his face in a handkerchief. He tried to cover his mouth with a handkerchief, like we do when we start to sneeze. We cover our nose with a handkerchief. He also did the same. But as he did that, he heard a voice from behind. Yes, he heard a noise from behind. Now, this is quite a scene. That there is somebody behind him, and the voice was, "Is it cold or hay fever?" Now, it was an instant response. Now, he instantly replied. It was a reflex. It was a reflex action, and he said, "Hay fever." He said, "Hay fever." Okay. The voice went on. You can cure it with a special treatment, you know, if you find out just what plant gives you the disease. I think you'd better see a doctor if you're serious about your work. I heard you from the top of the house just now. Now the lady is, you know, trying to be quite sarcastic. Now the lady is saying, first of all, she gives him advice. She tells him that, okay, this is hay fever. This can easily be treated. You can easily get treated if you know the root cause of the hay fever. As I told you, that hay fever is caused because of the pollen grains or because of the dust. Now, she's saying that you'll get a better treatment if you know that what is causing the hay fever. There can be multiple reasons. If you know the reason, it can be cured. But if you have to be successful in what you are doing, you are a thief, and the thieves have to be quiet. You cannot be quiet because you are sneezing again and again. You are sneezing. You have sneezed so loudly that I could hear from the top of the house. Okay, so she was making a sarcastic comment that as a thief, you're not so perfect because you are making a noise. You are sneezing so loudly. It was a quiet, kindly voice, but one with firmness in it. A woman was standing in the doorway, and Sherry was rubbing against her. Now it was quiet and a very, kindly voice. The woman had a very kindly voice. It means that she was not shouting on him. She didn't scream at him. Obviously, generally what happens when we see that there is a burglar at our home, there is a thief at our home, what we do? We, tend to, shout a lot. We scream that, oh, thief, thief, thief. But she was not doing so. She had a very kindly voice, but she had firmness also. It had firmness. It was, it had a bit of a strength in it. Woman was standing in the doorway, and Sherry was rubbing against her. Obviously, she was the owner of the house, and Sherry was very friendly with him, with her. So that is why he was rubbing against her. She was young, quite pretty, and was dressed in red. She walked to the fireplace and straightened the ornaments there. Now, she was very young. She was very pretty. They are describing the lady, and she was dressed in red. So she was quite an attractive woman. She was quite an attractive woman. She walked to the fireplace and straightened the ornaments there. Now she was also wearing some ornaments. Okay. She was also wearing some ornaments, and she did it like this. Okay. Okay, like the ladies do. So she was, setting her ornaments like this. Down, Sherry, she said. Anyone would think I had been away for a month. She smiled at Horace and went on, however, I came back just in time, though I didn't expect to meet a burglar. Now, we could see that the lady was still calm, and she said, down, Sherry. She pointed to her dog that, okay, sit down. And now he's addressing to the thief again, and she's saying that, okay, people were expecting that I will come back in a month, but I came back earlier. As as we knew in the starting that the people of the house, the owner of the house, they were in London. But she said that, okay, I came back a bit earlier. I was, expected to be there for a month, but I had come back earlier, though I did not expect to meet a thief. I didn't expect that, okay, I am going to come back at my house and I am going to meet a thief there. Horace had some hope because she seemed to be amused at meeting him. He might avoid trouble if he treated her the right way. He replied, I didn't expect to meet one of the family. Now, as I told you, that the lady was quite friendly. The lady didn't scream. The lady didn't shout, usually how the people do. The owner of the house, if they see a thief at their house, what is the, usual reaction? Their usual reaction is that they start screaming and they, start dialing the police, and they're very much scared. But the lady is not scared at all. She is, in fact, amused at meeting him. It seemed that she was happy to meet him, and he thought that maybe if I talk to the lady very nicely, if I'll try to convince her, and she'll not cause any trouble to me. Obviously, I have been caught red-handed, and she can hand me over to the police. She can complain to the police. But if I convince her a little bit, and if I talk to her in a very friendly way, and if I don't threaten her, maybe she will not cause any trouble to me. That is why he said that I didn't expect to meet one of the family. He was also not expecting to meet a family. Now he also passed a sarcastic comment. It was a sarcastic conversation. She nodded. I see what an inconvenience it is for you to meet me. What are you going to do? Now this these lines. Now this conversation, it's quite a conversation. It is usually not a kind of conversation which you expect from a thief and the owner of the house. Okay, but it was quite an unusual conversation. And she is also saying, what does she say? I know that it is quite an inconvenience for you. Okay, you're not happy with it because obviously your duty is to, rob, and you had come here to rob my house, and you met the family instead. You met the owner of the house, and I know that it is not, convenient enough for you. Now what are you going to do? Now she asks her that what is going to be his next course of action. Now usually we are very scared when we see the thief. We are like, okay, is he going to harm me? Is he going to harm me? Is he going to, threaten me? Is he going to, still, rob the house? So, but she is not concerned over it. She simply asks him that what is your next course of action? What are you going to do now? Horace said, my first thought was to run. Of course, you could do that, but I would telephone the police and tell them all about you. They would get you at once. Now obviously Horace replied that I was going to run. Obviously I was going to run. Now she says, okay, you're going to run. Of course you can do that. Of course, you're a thief, you will run away. But I am going to telephone the police. I'm going to call the police, and I'm going to inform that there is a thief at my house, and you are going to get caught for sure. Okay, they would get you at once. Horace said, I would of course cut the telephone wires first, and then he hesitated, a smile on his face. I would make sure that you could do nothing for some time. A few hours would be enough. Now Horace was also ready with all the answers. As I told you, that is quite an unusual conversation. It is kind of a conversation that you see in James Bond's movies, and it is quite an intellectual conversation. We can say that both the people, both the persons are quite versed with the words. They are quite pretty good with the words. And he also said that okay, I would of course cut the telephone wires. First of all, I'm going to cut the telephone wires. I'll make sure that you do not call the police. And also now he gives a little bit of threat to her. He, tries to threaten her a little bit by saying that I would make sure that you could do nothing. Okay, now he is trying to say that he would, do something to her that would, keep her silent at least for a few hours. Maybe he was, pointing to this thing that maybe he's going to knock her down. Maybe he's going to, give that... what is that called? That there is a ointment that is used now, that is used to faint the other person, and he could do something like that. Maybe he's going to faint her, maybe he is going to harm her, or something like that. She looked at him seriously. You'd hurt me. Horace paused and then said, I think I was trying to frighten you when I said that. You didn't frighten me. Horace suggested it would be nice if you would forget you ever saw me. Let me go. Now she's asking, okay, are you trying to hurt me? Now the lady was also thinking that, okay, he was trying, he was talking so nicely to me. Now he suddenly is trying to threaten me. And he said, are you going to hurt me? And he said that, okay, I was thinking that I might, threaten you. I was, trying to threaten you with this thing. But she said that, okay, I'm not threatened at all. We can see that the lady is very bold. Yes, the lady is very bold. She is so courageous. She is such a courageous lady. She is not, even threatened at the idea of being knocked over. And she is saying that, okay, I am not threatened at all. And you would forget. Now, Horace suggested that, okay, you're not threatened. Okay, it's fine with me, but do one thing, that you forget everything about it. You forget that you saw a thief, that you saw me entering in your house, and you please let me go. You please let me go. Now Horace is suggesting that you let me go, and I will also not hurt you. You also do not hurt me. You do not also, you also do not cause any trouble to me, and you let me go, simply. Now, the voice was suddenly sharp. Why should I? You were going to rob me. If I let you go, you'll only rob someone else. Society must be protected from men like you. Now, the voice of the woman said suddenly, now it was suddenly sharp. Now, she was, trying to sound a little bit serious. She was serious and she said, why would I? Why should I let you go? Why should I let you go? Because you're a thief and you're a trouble to the society. If you'll not, steal something at our house, you are going to go to the next house, and people like you are a threat to the society. You are not good for the society. Obviously, you are a thief. Why would I let you go? Give me one reason that I should let you go, because you are a thief, and thieves are not good for the society, and society must be protected from people like you. From people like you means from people like you, the thieves and burglars. Now, Horace paused and then said, okay. Horace suggested, it would be nice if you'd forget you ever saw me. Let me go. Okay, this is again repeated. I steal only from those who have a lot of money. I steal for a very good reason, and I hate the thought of prison. Now, as Horace thought that the lady is trying to be reasonable, I should also be reasonable. I should give even more reasons to her that she shouldn't, send me to jail. Now he tries to explain. He is in an explanatory position, and he says that I only steal from people who have a lot of money. Okay, the people who have a lot of money, they can, afford it. I only steal from the people who can afford it, and that too I do it for a very good reason. I do not steal for, any bad reason. I do not gamble, I do not drink, I do not do anything bad, but I do, steal for a very good reason, and I hate the thought of prison. He is also, trying to convince her by saying that, okay, I do not want to go to prison. Maybe he's trying to, convince the woman that please do not send me to prison. She laughed and he begged, thinking that he had persuaded her. Look, I have no right to ask you for anything, but I'm desperate. Let me go, and I promise never to do this kind of thing again. Now she laughed. Obviously, when she saw that earlier he was trying to threaten me, earlier the thief was trying to threaten her. Now he is, now he is frightened. Now he is threatened, and he is trying to explain it to her that please, I do not want to go to prison. Please save me. And she said, she was thinking at her, and even the thief was also convinced that okay, he has persuaded her. He has convinced her. Persuaded means he had convinced her. See, look, I have no right to ask you for anything. He also says that I do not have any right to ask anything from you. Obviously, I am a thief. I do not deserve anything that I should ask you anything, but I am desperate. I am needy. Here, desperate means that I am needy. Okay, I am needy. I can do anything. I can do anything to save myself from prison. Let me go. And I promise, he also promises that I will never do it again. I will never, steal from anyone. I will not become a thief anymore, and I am going to do it. Please, please let me go. I really mean it. She was silent, watching him closely. Then she said, you are really afraid of going to prison, aren't you? Now, as he said that I really mean it, I do not want to go to prison, he has, convinced her. He has convinced her. He has also told her that he is, quite afraid of going to prison. Obviously, nobody likes the idea of going to jail. They are quite threatened by even by the name of the prison. So he is trying to convince her, and the lady is also pretty sure that okay, you are quite afraid of prison, aren't you? Okay, you do not like the idea of prison. You are a thief. You should mend yourself so that you never go to the prison. She came over to him, shaking her head. I have always liked the wrong kind of people. She picked up a silver box from the table and took a cigarette from it. Horace, eager to please her and seeing that she might help him, took off his gloves and gave her his cigarette lighter. Now she came over to him. Now she was basically, it was seeming that she is trying to entice him. She was trying to entice him, and she even said that I always, kind of like the wrong people. Now she is pointing that he likes her, that he likes him. She likes him. Here, the lady is giving an hint to the thief that she has started to like the thief. Who is the wrong person here? The wrong person is the thief. She is saying, she is hinting that, okay, I have started to like you. And she picked up a silver box. She picked up a silver box which was kept on the table. It had cigarettes in it. She put out a cigarette. She was, and the thief was also, trying to convince her. He was trying to impress her. So he removed his gloves and he offered her his lighter. Yeah, this is basically a manner. This comes in manners. It will, we are talking about a time, we are talking about the old times, and at that time, having cigarettes, smoking was quite a norm. It was quite very, and in the high societies, whenever a lady picks up a cigarette, to smoke, it is the duty of the gentleman. It is the duty of the gentleman to offer her the lighter. It is also considered as a good gesture in the high societies. So obviously that lady belonged to the high society, and even the thief was trying to convince her, persuade her, impress her. That is why he took off his glove to offer the lady, being a gentleman, and offer her the cigarette lighter. You'll let me go. He held the lighter towards her. Yes, but only if you'll do something for me. Anything you say. Now she's asking. Now he's asking, you let me go. Now he's quite, he's quite in the confidence that yes, the lady is going to, forgive her. So she asks that, are you going to let me go? The lady also says that, okay, I will let you go, only on one condition. Now comes the point. She had put a condition. She says that she is going to let him go, but only on one condition. And what is the condition? He asks, and she says that he also says, anything for you. Obviously he was so desperate, he was so needy, he was ready to do anything for the lady so that she can let him go. Before we left for London, I promised my husband to take my jewels to our bank, but I left them here in the safe. I want to wear them to a party tonight, so I came down to get them. But now she is trying to explain. Now she is explaining her situation. She is saying that before we left for London, I promised my husband that I am going to put all the jewels in the bank. Because obviously it was not safe. So she promised her husband that I am going to put all the jewelry in the bank so that it is safe there. But I did not do so. I forgot to do so, and I had left it in the safe. And she also says that I want to wear them in a party tonight. I want to wear the jewelry in the party tonight. But now Horace smiled. You have forgotten the numbers to open the safe, haven't you? Yes, replied the young lady. Now comes the point. The point here is that the lady has, jewels in her safe, which she wants to wear. She wants to wear the ornaments at a party in the night, and she had forgotten the numbers. Horace, he guessed this thing. He guessed that, okay, she must have forgotten the numbers, and she is trying to take my help. Just leave it to me, and you will have them within an hour, but I'll have to break your safe. Don't worry about that. My husband won't be here for a month, and I'll have the safe mended by that time. Now, he also says that, okay, leave it to me. I am going to do it. Now, he even promises her that, okay, you need the jewelry. I am going to give you the jewelry. You will have it in 1 hour. I'll open the safe in an hour. He's quite sure that he is going to open the safe in an hour. But he also informs her that the safe is going to, break. I am going to break the safe. I have to break the safe in order to, get the jewelry out. She also says that it's okay. You can break the safe because my husband is not going to be here for a month, and I am going to, get it done. I am going to mend the safe. I am going to get the safe mended by that time. And so mended here, mended means repair. She says that she is going to get the safe repaired by that time. And within an hour, Horace had opened the safe, given her the jewels, and gone happily away. And within an hour, as he promised, he did everything in an hour. In an hour, the safe was open, and he had opened the safe. He had given her the jewelry and gone happily away. It means the lady had forgiven him. The lady had forgiven him. She had let him go, and he was also very happy. For 2 days he kept his promise to the kind young lady. On the morning of the third day, however, he thought of the books he wanted, and he knew he would have to look for another safe. For 2 days, as he had promised the lady. Desperate time calls for desperate measures. So at that time, he had made a promise to the lady that, okay, lady, I am going to help you. I have helped you, and I also promise that I'm not going to steal. He even kept his promise for 2 days, but at the third day, he thought that, okay, what about those books? I want to buy those 3 books. Yeah, he is referring to those 3 books that that rare and expensive books that he had to buy from the agent, which were which had to come in the autumn season. But he never got the chance to begin his plan. By noon, a policeman had arrested him for the jewel robbery at Shotover Grange. And now, quite to our surprise, he was not able to do so. He was not able to do so. Why? Because he was caught by the police on the same day. Yes, on the third day, after 3 days of the, theft, the policeman came to, arrest him. He was arrested, yes. His fingerprints, for he had opened the safe without gloves, were all over the room. And no one believed him when he said that the wife of the owner of the house had asked him to open the safe for her. The wife herself, a grey-haired, sharp-tongued woman of 60, said that the story was nonsense. Now comes the, basically the twist. The twist. Okay. The twist was that he was caught. He was caught because he had his fingerprints all over the house, because that he had removed his gloves in order to offer the cigarette to the lady, the lighter to the lady, and he had done so. He forgot to wear the gloves back again, and he opened the safe. All his fingerprints were on the safe. Now he tried to explain the police. He tried to explain everyone that I had opened the safe for the lady of the house. I had opened the safe for the owner of the house. I didn't steal anything. I do not have any jewelry. I did that because the owner of the house told me to open the safe. But nobody believed him. Even the lady of the house didn't believe him. The wife of the owner didn't believe him. The wife was a grey-haired, sharp-tongued woman of 60. Yes, the wife of the owner was not young. She was not a pretty lady. She did not have a kind voice. Instead, she was grey-haired. She was a 60-year-old woman. She even had a very sharp tongue. Sharp tongue means the lady who abuses a lot, and she has a very strong language. She had a very strong language, and she also said that this is all nonsense. It's all nonsense. I do not believe these things because I was never in the house. I didn't do anything. Horace is now the assistant librarian in the prison. He often thinks of the charming, clever young lady who was in the same profession as he was, and who tricked him. He gets very angry when anyone talks about honor among thieves. Now Horace is now back to the prison again. Again, he is the assistant librarian at the prison. The only good thing was that he was a librarian in the prison, and he loved the books. So the irony is that he used to love the books so much so that he became an assistant librarian. Now he was all surrounded by the books in the prison itself. Now he gets very angry. He always thinks about the young pretty lady who tried to entice him, who was in the same profession. The lady of the house was actually a thief. She was also a thief who had come that day to rob the house. She had also come the same day to rob the house. When she saw that there is another thief in the house, she also thought that maybe, I should dress up as the lady of the house and I should entice him. I should, instead of making a noise, instead of, maybe she would have told the person, she would have told the thief that, okay, I'm also a thief, you're also a thief, let's do 50-50, let's divide the jewelry among ourselves. But she thought that why not take a chance, why not, you know, pretend to be the lady of the house, why not take the jewels, you know, every jewel for myself, and why not put the blame on the thief. Now obviously this thief, Horace Standby, had got the taste of his own medicines, and he was quite angry whenever somebody talked about the honor among thieves. Now, it was not the honor among the thieves. This saying is not appropriate to the story, because there was no honor among the thief. The lady would have thought that, okay, I'm also a thief, he's also a thief, let's help each other out. But what she did, she even became a bigger thief. She became a bigger thief. She became even a bigger deceiver, and she was successful to deceive the other thief. That is why the title, with the first title suits with the story, that is, you have to set a thief in order to catch a thief. Horace Standby was caught. Why? Because of that lady. Yes, that lady in red, and there was no honor among her. You know, there was no honor in her. Now, in the summary, what we have done is that we have, you know, written a few points about Horace Standby and about the women in red. You can compare it. You can also use it to make a character sketch. About 50 years old. Okay, about Horace Standby, he was about 50 years old and he was unmarried. He was a bachelor. He was usually very well and happy, except for the attacks of hay fever. In summer, he had attacks of hay fever in the summer. He made locks and was successful enough at his business. He was respectable but not completely honest, as we all know that he was everything. He was good, he was honest, he was everything, but he was not honest. Once a year. Once a year, he used to become a thief. He loved rare and expensive books. He robbed a safe every year. Every year, he used to become a thief, and he used to plan the robbery very well. Each year he planned carefully, stole enough to last for 12 months. Now he, you know, stole enough for to last for a year. Only, as we said, that he only used to do it annually. Secretly bought the books he loved through an agent, and he, you know, secretly bought the books. So it was his hobby to buy the books. Now, about the women in red. Young and beautiful. She was young and beautiful, perfectly fits rich women attire and accent. Now, obviously, as we know that the lady was very young, she was very pretty, she was very kind, she had a voice. She was such a lady that she was able to, you know, disguise herself as a rich woman, and even she was, you know, able to deceive the other person thinking that she is a rich woman. She was cool and calm. She was a very good planner. He dupes the smart thief easily. Yes, he was able to dupe the thief. He was able to deceive. He was able to deceive the other thief, and she gets away with the robbery. She simply gets away with the robbery. She was so smart. She was smarter than Horace Standby, and she took every opportunity to to steal from him. She was not only able to get the thief, the jewelry at the end, but she was also able to put the blame on the other thief, and that is Horace Standby. She might never get caught. Yes, the lady might never get caught because she was so well in what she did. She was, perfect in her profession. So Horace Standby was very wrong in thinking that I am the perfect thief. I am, perfect in my profession. The lady was even more perfect in her profession. So here the story ends. The story was quite a thriller one. It was quite, it had a bit of a twist in it, and I like the story a lot. I hope that you also understood the story very well, and if you did not understand anything, you can mention in the comments below. Okay, so we'll meet in the next video. We'll start with another chapter. Till then, bye bye. Take care.